How you doing?
All right. Good evening, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jack Miller. I'm the Senior Sports Director for the YMCA of Columbia. Thank you all for being here tonight. Just a couple of things real quick. This new era of online coaches meetings, virtual coaches meetings, has been really good to us at the Y. I think they're beneficial for us to get everybody from across the association together in one spot and get going for the season. A couple of things you'll notice is that, one, you don't need to have your camera on. That's up to you, not required. I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but it's up to you. You will notice you cannot unmute. One of the changes that we've made is that all questions are just going to go through the chat box. It's just easier that way instead of having 10 people talking over each other as we try to answer questions. So feel free to hit any questions you got in the chat box, and we will answer those as we go. Don't need to wait for me to ask for questions. Feel free to pop them in anytime, and we'll get them answered. One other thing that you will, I'm looking here, notice is that if you're at Northwest, Ashley Brazel is here, your sports director there at the Northwest. And then myself, I'll be the sports director running this program there at Jeep. Tyler Bennett will be at Owens Field. He's not on this call. He's currently refereeing a soccer game at Owens Field, so he's not on this call, but I'll be able to answer questions for his branch tonight. So we'll get started. A couple things to go over. Look at the rules a little bit, look at player space a little bit, talk about some dates, just get everybody on the same page. So like I said, have any questions, pop them in the chat. We'll answer those. If you have a question that is specific to like the rules, what we do here, feel free to ask those. If it's a question that requires your branch director, so like a question about a roster, question about what you'll be doing as a coach, I would recommend you reach out to your branch director. You should have, wherever you got this link from, that person is your branch director. So please reach out to them and they'll be able to answer maybe more specific team questions, personnel questions, but then feel free to ask any operational questions here. So let's get started. First things first, with some dates. So this coming Monday is when practices start. Just have had a couple of questions about practice. So I want to clarify. If you are a 6 to 7 or 8 to 9 year old, you will only ever meet on Monday and Wednesday. So the 6 to 7 year olds, being the younger, go first. So they go at 6 o'clock. The 8, 9 year olds go at 7 o'clock. That'll be consistent every week. So you'll get your first 2 weeks. So this coming week and then the week after, where you will practice both Monday and Wednesday. And then when you get your game schedule on the 20th, you'll only have typically one game a week. Occasionally we got to squeeze 2 in, depending on how many teams we got per age group. But most of the time you're going to have one game a week. So let's say you have a game scheduled for Monday. That means Wednesday your team can come out and practice. Don't have to, but that's when you have that time to practice. It will be that Wednesday. Vice versa if your game is scheduled on Wednesday. Same thing for the 10 to 11s and 12 to 14s. You're going to meet every Tuesday, Thursday. The 10 to 11s will go first at 6 o'clock. The 12 to 14s will go at 7 o'clock. But you'll meet every Tuesday, Thursday. And whatever day you don't have a game is when you'll practice. So it'll go throughout the remainder of the summer. Does that make sense? Hopefully that clarifies how that's going to work. So I'll start next week. You'll get both days every week, practice for the first 2 weeks, and then a game in practice going forward. So our games will start on the 31st. So there's no games or practices on Memorial Day. That's Monday the 30th. So then Tuesday we'll start our games. So that's why 8, 9-year-olds, 6, 7-year-olds, you may see you'll probably have at least 1 week where you'll play 2 games in a week, because we'll need to kind of make up essentially those Monday or that Monday Memorial Day where we would have had a game. We won't play any on the Monday, July 4th. So you won't have a game there either. Our last day of games will be Thursday, July 7th. 3 to 5-year-olds, if you're coaching a 3 to 5-year-old team, they start practicing the 21st, and then they'll be done on the 9th. And they will not meet, the 3 to 5-year-olds will not meet on Saturday, July 2nd, before July 4th. So that's some dates and what that looks like. Next thing we'll get into, we'll save the rules for last. Next thing we'll get into is player space. So player space is our new, if you have not coached with us in the winter with basketball or soccer this spring, then this will be new for you. But player space is our new league management app. I am typing and going to post a link here to coaches training for player space. It's a very simple 1-page website that's going to be able to answer a lot of your questions about how player space works, what it looks like, what the app looks like, how to use it. It's very user-friendly once you get into it. It really is pretty simple. It's also a one-stop shop. So you're not having to look around, try to find where the game schedule is that I sent, try to find where the roster is that I sent you. It's all going to be in one spot. So you're going to be able to go to player space. And if you go, I recommend using the website, not the phone app, for the first couple of times you use it, because the website does have more information. The website has a little more laid out. So you will easily be able to see your roster. You'll be able to see your schedule. As a reminder, game schedules are not out until the 20th. So you won't see that for right now. And because practices are consistent on Monday, Wednesdays, and Tuesday, Thursday, you won't even see a practice schedule. We've talked about it as directors. We are going to go in and change that just to kind of help clear up some confusion so that your parents will be able to see, okay, yes, it is every Tuesday, Thursday. We need to be here for practice. But when the game schedule comes out, they will be able to go in and see it. They'll just upload a calendar and they'll be able to see consistently what day their game is, what time the game is, and the location of the game. So that will all show through player space. You can easily contact your roster through player space, sending messages through there, and they will be able to respond and send messages to you. You'll also get league notifications. So this is a big one. If we have rainouts, we have summer storms that roll through and we get rained out, we can easily communicate through player space by canceling those games on the app, and also by sending a text message. That text message is built into player space. So again, it's taking a lot of different things that we used to have and just putting it all into one spot. So it should make it a lot easier for everybody. We do recommend, and we'll recommend to parents when we talk to them, that they update and put their cell phone on player space so that they get those text messages. That'll be important for them. But that's the player space spot. So talked a little bit about dates, talked a little bit about player space. Any questions about that before we move on? We're going to try to roll tonight. Coaches told us I talk too much, so we're going to try to roll fast tonight. All right, before we get into the rules real quick, just some thoughts on coaching from the directors and from what we see. Just a reminder, this is a recreational league. This is flag football. It's not a competitive league. It is very much for development, for kids to learn, for kids to have fun. The referees that we're going to have out here, most of them, pretty much all of them, have played college football for the most part. A couple of them are high school referees, but pretty much all of them have been around the game for a while. So they understand the game. They are out here refereeing because they love the game, because they want to work with kids at the Y. So let's remember that as we play these games this summer, that they're out here in the heat refereeing because they want to be around the game. And most of them, again, have played the game at a high level and just enjoy being around the kids. So flag football, we get it. It's competitive. Of all the sports that we run, it's our biggest headache. We just know it. So we try to get out in front of it as much as we can. We're not going to accept yelling at coaches. We're not going to accept yelling across the field. We're not going to accept yelling at parents. We're not going to accept, what we have seen in the past, which is players literally fighting each other. It's just not going to happen. And we will just continue to weed that out. We will just continue to remove parents, coaches, players, whatever we have to do, It's just not going to be acceptable here. And I know we've had coaches come from backgrounds that are different, leagues that it's a little more loose. I get that. I understand that. We are probably one of the more strict leagues that you'll find. I understand that, but that is what we are. And it's better for us to set that expectation so that everybody understands what they're walking into. Like I said, I'll be answering questions as I see them. So practice schedule. Yes, that's one of the reasons that we're going to be putting it on Player Space is when you look in your app, not only will it say, like practice Tuesday, Thursday, but it'll also tell you field. So that way, when you are going out there, you'll kind of have a better idea. And we can send field maps out too, so that you guys will see when you come out exactly where to go. We'll also, directors will be out there at the fields. And speaking of that, as far as equipment goes, we'll drop flags and footballs and cones out there at the field. So don't feel like you need to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. We'll be able to provide all that for you guys for your practices. So you won't need to provide any of that. We'll provide coaches shirts. We'll provide jerseys for all the kids. You'll get those before your first games. We'll provide the flags for the games, the footballs. The only things that if parents ask this, if they need to buy anything, they need mouth guards. And we recommend cleats. We really do highly recommend cleats. And then shorts or pants without pockets. Again, the big reason here, these flags are going to hang right down, down their legs, down their hips. So we really want to try to avoid pockets as much as possible, that as players are going in and pulling flags, they don't get fingers stuck in pockets. So as much as possible, shorts or pants without pockets, or if they flip them out, duct tape the seams, something like that, that's fine too. The mouth guards would be the other big one. So that's our little talk about coaching. Again, I know it's the South. I grew up in the South. I grew up playing in this league. It's competitive. I was competitive. I probably chirped at referees more than I should have as a player. I get it. So I want to approach it from that perspective of, I know people want to win and kids want to win. I understand. But there are certain things we have to adhere to. We can't be disrespectful, and we cannot start fights. We cannot be disrespectful to our opponents. We are not yelling at other coaches, at other players, other officials. We're going to focus on ourselves and get better. And I have nothing wrong with competition, and I hope that they have a fun season. I hope that they learn to compete, and I hope that they get better. But we are not going to let it get out of hand. The flags, if you haven't played with us in the winter, we did go to a new style of a nylon belt with flags. So the whole belt comes off. It used to be, if you played with us in the past, it was a one-piece belt where the flags popped off. And so every time you pulled a flag, the flag came off, then you pop the flag back on. The flag belts now are a full one piece. So every time you pull a flag, the entire belt comes off. And then you just take the belt and you clip it back on. So we found that these are easier for the kids. We have gotten some different sizes so that, again, to help when you have smaller, like little 3 to 5 year olds, we have smaller belts. When you have the 12 to 14s, you have bigger belts. So it just kind of helps them find the right size for them. So send message to team is how you email all your parents. So when you see that, send message to send message team, that's going to go out just to the parents whose emails are on your team. Yep, you're going to have belts for your practices. So while we'll put them out there for the games, obviously, when you come to practice, we'll have footballs, cones, belts. So you'll have all that out there. So you don't need to worry about bringing that when you come to practice. We'll have those set out for you. Just leave them. That's one problem we've had in the past. People take them thinking they're theirs for the season. We will put that out every single practice. So you don't need to worry about, don't take it. We need it. But you won't need to worry about bringing any when you come to practice. All right. I'm going to go to the rules. Feel free to drop any questions you have over what I've gone over, and then we'll get to the rules. After we're done with the rules, we'll open it up for more questions, and then we will be done for the day. This meeting is recorded. Some of the things you'll get from me is you'll get this recording. You'll get the link to the Player Space help. You'll get any other documents you need from me. So you'll get that all in an email. So if you're joining late, don't worry, we'll get this to you. And if you have not, I believe everybody is still being processed through as far as being a coach on Player Space. When that's done, you'll get an email if you haven't already that says you've been assigned to coach, this team. And then that will give you different permissions than what a parent will see. You will have more access through Player Space to that team than the parents will. So you'll be able to see a little bit more and interact more with that team than they will be able to. If you haven't gotten that email yet, then it's coming. Don't worry, but that's where you'll get more access there. All right, so the rules for our age groups. So we play, actually, let me share this. Let's just make it way easier. All right, so for all of our ages, 3 to 7s or 3 to 14s, we're going to play on a 50-yard field, 2 25-yard halves with about 30 yards in length, or sorry, in width. In zones, 10 yards each. So a total of 70 yards in length, 30 yards in width. Your first downs, so if you've not played in our league before, it is it's 1/2 yard line. So every time you start with the ball, you're going to start at the 5-yard line where my mouse is, and you're going to have 4 plays to cross the half line. And then once you cross the half line, you've got 4 plays to score. So, it's not 10 yards to get a first down. It's going to be cross the half line and then cross the end zone. So the most plays you're ever going to have in one possession is 8. It's intended to speed it up, give everybody a lot of touches, a lot of opportunities to possess the ball. They will all play 2 20-minute halves. Clock is going to run the entire time until we get to 2 minutes. One change that we're going to make, so I apologize, and I don't think it's been updated here, so I do apologize for this. I will add this in the email so that everybody sees it. The clock is only going to stop inside of the last minute instead of the last 2 minutes. We've had games that go 20 minutes over because the last 2 minutes clock stopped every 5 seconds. So we are going to make a small change. So the clock will stop every one at the end, the last minute of each half. So the last minute of the first half, last minute of the second half, it will stop for all dead balls. So 30 by 50 is the length. Always start on the 5-yard line, 4 plays to cross half, 4 plays to score. So if you, for those who are asking, yes, you will get a copy of these rules. So this will come when I send out the replay of this. When I send out the link to this, you will get a copy of these rules, and I will work to have this amended so it shows the 1 minute clock stoppage. We play 5v5. Everybody's eligible. So the center is eligible. Everybody's eligible. You've got your quarterback, and then you can have one other person off the line. So you got to have 3 players on the line of scrimmage. Now, what that 5th player, we get this a lot. The 5th player can be a lot of things. If you want to go 4 players on the line, that's totally fine. If you want to play running back, that's fine. If you want to put a wide receiver in motion or a wide receiver off the line, that's fine. But you can only have 2 players off the line. The quarterback's your automatic 1. So that you can only have 1 other player that's off the line. So what that basically means is you can't have 2 running backs. That's the simplest way to put it. But however you want to play that off, player, if you want it to be, like I said, man in motion, that's fine. Running back, that's fine. You just can't have a running back and a man in motion. You're going to have 3 players on the line at the snap. Good question. The 3 to 5-year-olds. Here's what I'll tell you about 3 to 5-year-olds. The rules don't apply to the 3 to 5-year-olds. The 3 to 5-year-olds are going to be, can we get them to run in one direction? And that direction not be who knows where. That's going to be what the 3 to 5-year-olds are. There's a lot of, for them, it's just, okay, here's a football. Don't drop it. Don't hand it to the other team. Don't run to your car. Run this way. That's what a lot of what 3 to 5-year-olds are. So these rules don't really apply at all to the 3 to 5-year-olds. The equipment. So like I said, we're going to provide the flag belts, no metal cleats. We'll provide the jerseys, and they need to have mouth guards. 4 downs to cross half, 4 downs to score. One thing with turnover on down, so there's no punting. You're always going to go forward on 4th down because if you turn the ball over, they're going to go all the way back to their 5-yard line. So there's no reason to punt. Everybody's always going to start at the 5-yard line. The only exception, and this is where there's some confusion sometimes, interceptions can be returned, and they will take over wherever they return it to. So if they return it to, their 1-yard line, that's where they're going to get it. It's not going to go back to the 5. So it's just wherever that interception is returned, that's where they're going to start. Other than that, if you go for a 4th down and miss, it's just going to go back to their 5-yard line. They're going to have to march the field. Touchdowns worth 6 points. Safeties worth 2 points. Sorry. So 1 or 2 point conversion. So just like we have the 5-yard line, if you score, if you want to go for 1 point, we'll put the ball at the 5, but it's got to be a throw. Or we can put the ball at the 10. You can go for 2 points. It can be a run or a throw. So that's the 1 or 2 point conversions after every touchdown. 25-second play clock, passing interference, 10 yards. Flag guarding. The most common penalty you'll see is flag guarding when you're working in practice. Make sure kids, they can't stiff arm, they can't slap hands away. They got to keep their hands up. Anytime you get a flag guard, it's going to be a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and it's going to come back. So that's probably the biggest call that you'll see pretty consistently is flag guarding. Let's see here. Make sure I get through everything. All forward passes can be received behind the line of scrimmage. You can also throw behind the line of scrimmage. Quarterbacks have 7 seconds. So this is a newer rule, probably new since last summer. I believe we added this in the winter. I can't remember. But you only have 7 seconds now as the quarterback to throw the ball. And if after 7 seconds, you still have the ball, you haven't handed it off, you haven't thrown it, the play will be ruled dead. No loss of yardage. We'll just put the ball back at the cone and it'll be you lost it down. Interceptions may be returned. Quarterback cannot directly run the ball. So your quarterback can't just take the snap and run. There's got to be a handoff. The only way the quarterback can run is if they are blitzed. We'll talk about that in a second. Direct handoffs behind the line are permitted. Now, one thing, just to be clear, there's no fumbles. So anytime you have, it's a dead ball. So anytime you have any kind of lateral handoff or anything and the ball hits the ground, it's not a fumble. It's just a dead ball. And the ball is placed there. They aren't allowed to flag guard, no stiff arms, no clipping, no screen blocking is allowed, and that's the only way you can block. So the easiest way to explain blocking in our league is you cannot initiate contact. You cannot go hit somebody, but you can stand there. You can stand still. You can move to a spot and stand still, but you can't go and hit somebody. That's probably the easiest way to explain blocking. So if you want to run a run play, and you want your wide receiver to block, he can get to a spot and stand still, but he cannot go and initiate contact and hit that defender. It's probably the easiest way to explain that. So the no run zone. So let's say you've gotten the ball at the 5-yard line, you're marching, and you're at the 24-yard line. You need 1 yard to get across half. You will not be able to run the ball. You'll have to throw it. The reason being, we don't want kids to line up, power I, run the football, hit each other. So whenever we get to situations where you only have to get a short yardage, you have to throw the football to prevent teams from just lining up and running it and hitting each other. Defensively, any number of players can rush the quarterback beyond 7 yards. So what that looks like, we'll put down 2 cones. We'll put down a cone for the offensive line of scrimmage, and then the referee will walk out 7 yards and put down the blitz cone. Any defender that starts behind that blitz cone at the snap can blitz the quarterback. Could be all 5, could be 1, doesn't matter. Anybody that starts behind that cone can blitz. If they don't start behind that cone, they cannot blitz. The quarterback cannot run until he is blitzed. All right. Talked about timing, and then there's just some penalties there that you feel free to read through when I send these over, what the yardage is. Again, the most common penalties you're going to see are procedural, so not enough men on the line, false starts, and then flag guarding with an occasional pass interference thrown in here or there. Illegal blocking is probably the next most called penalty. So we try not to penalize as much as possible. You might see maybe 4 or 5 a game. We really try to let the kids play as much as possible. The biggest one, like I said, you'll see is flag guarding, since that is incredibly important to the game for them to be able to pull a flag. Then that's the one that we focus on to make sure that they have that opportunity to make that play. So make sure when kids come in, biggest thing when they start the game, we'll line them up, and they just need to make sure their shirts are tucked in and the flag belts are over the shirts. The shirt doesn't cover their flags. And then no tying flags. All right. If we find teams tying flags like we had in the fall, then we're probably going to look to just remove you from the league. We're not cheating in the league. All right. They need to it's a clip, take the clip it on the belt. You can't tie the end of the belt around, so it can't possibly be pulled off. And that's it on the rules. Any questions? If the players aren't blitzing, yes, great question. So the 7-yard cone only denotes who can blitz if they're behind that cone. A player can line up on the line of scrimmage. That's fine. They just can't blitz, but they can be anywhere they want to on the defensive side. Yeah, for the 3 to 5-year-olds, you're not going to get them to snap the ball. Don't worry about that. Just, if they can maybe try to turn around and hand it to somebody, a lot of times it's going to be the coach taking the ball and handing it off. And I would work towards, getting them used to snapping. And I will tell you, we don't require them until they get to 12 to 14-year-olds. They don't have to do the traditional, snap between the legs. A lot of times teams will do the sideways snap where player turns sideways, just takes the ball and flings it to the quarterback. That's fine. It's not something we're hung up on. We'd rather the quarterback just get the ball. So we're not going to get hung up on how he gets it. We want him to have the ball and then play the game. So for right now, we're more worried about the just getting the ball in play and having plays happen. Quarterback. Okay, good question. Can the quarterback run before the defense crosses the line of scrimmage? So yes and no. Yes, the quarterback can run wherever he wants to. He just can't cross the line of scrimmage until he's blitzed. So as the quarterback, if you want to run forward like you're running, that's totally fine. You just cannot cross the line of scrimmage until the defense crosses the line of scrimmage. That's the only caveat. How many blitzes are allowed? As many as you want. It doesn't matter. As long as you're behind the blitz cone, you can blitz as much as you want every play. The only time you cannot blitz is when the offense has the ball inside of a no-run zone and they are forced to pass. If we're going to handicap the offense, we handicap the defense by not allowing them to blitz. So it's a pass play and you just have to play the pass. You're not allowed to blitz. So that'll happen anytime you're within 5 yards. Any other questions? We got plenty of time, so happy to answer any questions you have. And again, if you have a question you think of after we get done with this meeting, you should have my contact info if you're from Jeep, Tyler Bennett's if you're at Owens, or Ashley Brazel at downtown, or sorry, at Irmo. 7 seconds to throw the ball. So from the snap, the quarterback will have 7 seconds to hand it off or release the ball. And then if they hold on to it past 7 seconds, the referee will blow it dead. Blitz cone is 7 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. The referee will set it down. And every defender that's behind that blitz cone can blitz on the snap. It could be 1, it could be 5, it doesn't matter. The referee, most of the time the referee counts out loud, or at least he will start counting when it gets close to 7. So you'll hear him go 6, 7, or swing his hand. But there are a lot of times they're looking at the whole field as well. So they're not always do they count, but they at least try to let them know it's coming. Number of players, you got to have 3 players on the line of scrimmage. So everything I said about running back, man in motion, wide receiver, just know the most important thing is when the ball is snapped, there must be 3 players on the line of scrimmage. That's the most important thing. Real quick on the man in motion, just to quickly go over that. You can have 1 player, again, as long as you have 3 players on the line of scrimmage at the snap, you can have 1 player in motion at the snap. So if you want to bring a wide receiver on an end around during the snap, that's totally fine. Practices for 3 to 5-year-olds, I would recommend they need to just understand that they have a flag belt on and that the purpose of the game is to pull other people's flag belts if they have the ball. And so games like red light, green light, tag, allowing them to kind of get used to chasing people, pulling flags, and then anything to work on how to hold the football. So any kind of games, almost like hot potato, where you just got to hold on the football and then maybe hand it to another teammate, but we don't let it drop, and running in a straight line. There's a lot of games you can do. And there's some good resources. If you look up, Pee Wee football, 3 to 5-year-old football, there's a lot of resources out there on just some games that you can incorporate into practices. The uniforms, they are 100% poly t-shirts. They'll have our logo on it. They'll have Prisma Health is our exclusive sponsor of YMCA Sports this summer. So there'll be a sponsor logo on the back and then numbers on the back. Each team will get a different color, and your coach's shirt will be the same color as your team's uniforms. 3 to 5s. It is 2 20-minute halves. It's just going to be kind of quick, because a lot of times coaches will kind of agree to play until they're tired and then they stop, and which is fine. It's whatever is best for those teams. 8 to 9-year-olds are the first teams that travel. We are doing it slightly differently this year. So, not really that differently. Jeep would only travel to Owens. Northwest would only travel to Owens. Owens, you're going to be put into one of 2 groups, either the Jeep group or the Irmo group, and you'll travel to one of those. You won't actually have to travel to both branches, but we're really trying to limit to 2 travel games this year. So that's That's our goal. We should not have to do any more than 2 travel games for any age group. We want to try to keep all the games that we can at the home site. If we can do less than 2 travel games, we will. Doesn't matter. Defenders on the line can be as many as you want. Play all 5 on the line, play 1 on the line. It does not matter. Team colors have already been picked. So we just with who we work through, we have to submit those colors a while ago. We have to submit rosters a while ago. So we've just already randomly assigned those out to teams. Yeah, good question. So with blocking, so here's the question. Can an offensive player run alongside a defensive player to remain between their offensive teammate without contact? Yes, that's fine. Again, the most important thing in blocking is you cannot initiate contact. That's the biggest thing to remember. Yes, we don't have a wide receivers on the line. Can they be on the same side of the field? Yes. We don't get that technical, so you can overload. You could have all 3 wide receivers on the same side of the field. It doesn't matter. There's no formational guidance there, just as long as there's 4 men or 3 men on the line of scrimmage. 3 to 5 colors. I'm really not sure. To be honest with you, it would depend on your site. If you want to know, reach out to your site director and they may be able to tell you. It's kind of random. We pick between like 6 to 8 colors per branch. And then we just go with it. So if you want to know what colors you get, we can probably find that for you. Just reach out to your site director. Any other questions? Again, you'll get these rules. You'll get a recording. You'll get the player space help link. Anything that you have, any questions that you have, reach out to us. Note the center does not have to snap the football between their legs unless they are 12 to 14s. At that point, we feel like they should be able to do that. So 12 to 14s, they need to snap the ball normally, but 10 to 11s and below, if they want to do the sideways snap, that's fine. The only thing on the snap is the ball has got to start on the ground. So however they get it from the ground to the quarterback, especially like 6 to 7s, it's not going to be that big a deal. However they need to do it, 8 to 9s, the ball's going to need to start on the ground before it gets to the quarterback. Same thing for 10 to 11s, 12 to 14s, it needs to be between the legs. Yep, all players are eligible. Center can run a route. Everybody can run a route. Everybody is an eligible receiver. Yeah, so great question there. Specifically asking about hand contact. So the best way to put it is if you are blocking, you cannot initiate contact. So shoulder, body, hand, it doesn't matter. You cannot initiate contact. It's just because we don't do pads, we don't do any kind of protective, it's flag. So it's going to look different. There's just no blocking. So can't reach out, can't push, can't grab, can't check. Now, if the defender runs into you to get through you to get to the offensive player, that's going to be a foul on them because just as the offense can't initiate contact, the defense, that would be unnecessary roughness. You can't initiate contact and run through an offensive player. So it does work both ways. You've got to just go play the flag. That's it. Any other questions? Football sizes too. So if you are 3 to 5s or 6 to 7s, you're going to use a PV size football. The 8 to 9s, 10 to 11s will use the junior size, and the 12 to 14s will use a youth size football. Yep, you can reach out to your teams. If you've got the player space info, feel free to reach out. If you haven't seen that yet, it's coming. Don't worry. But yeah, as soon as you get the email and you've got access to your player space, go for it. We recommend you reach out just so they know. They'll be able to. The nice thing with this from previous seasons is parents actually will be able to see a little more of. They'll be able to contact you easier. So that should help. Max roster size. So we have said 10 is the max roster size. And then there's a couple of teams that if we need to make an exception, we'll work with you, but we try to keep it at 10. And with the summer, what we've seen is there's enough players that are going on vacation, enough players that have something going on that even though it's 5v5 and you've got 10, a lot of times you're not going to have your full roster size there for a game. All right, let me answer this one first. So if you have duplicate players, reach out, like I said, for anything that's a personnel related. So players on team, reach out to your site director. I just can't comment. I can't look at all that right now. So reach out to your site director, and then they can take a closer look at that. Again, if you're joining late, I will be your site director for Jeep, Tyler Bennett for Owens, and Ashley Brazel for Northwest. Yeah, so if you will receive an email with your login to PlayerSpace. So if you have not received an email yet, it's coming if you're a coach, and it will say you've been, you are coaching this team. Here's your login, and it'll prompt you to log in and get a password. If you have PlayerSpace issues, again, kind of like personnel issues, reach out to your director. We can help you work through those. That's probably the easiest way. All of our fields are identified with numbers. So at Owens Field, I believe he's running 4 fields this year. So you'll get a map along with your field assignments. You'll just be able to see, okay, this is fields 1, 2, 3, 4. But they'll all be, if you're familiar, they will not be where you played summer football. So if you've only played summer flag football at Owens, it's not there. It's where we played winter flag football and where we play all of our soccer. It's on those fields. So a little bit more towards the skate park. Yes, 10, 11-year-olds will always practice and play Tuesday, Thursday. One thing I guess I haven't mentioned, the all girls league. So this is our first year with all girls flag football. We're really excited about that as a new opportunity to let girls try the sport. So we're really excited that we have 6 teams across the association in our first season of trying this. So they will meet on Tuesdays, Thursdays as well. That will be their assigned day. But the rules for them, there's no changes in rules. It's the same thing. So if you're coaching one of the all girls groups, everything I've said still applies to you. There's no change in operational anything there are rules. Any other questions? All right, I appreciate everyone's time. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stick around for maybe 3 to 4 more minutes. So as you're leaving, if you have something that you want to talk about, I'll be here for 3 to 4 minutes to answer those questions. So feel free to pop those in the chat. But everybody else, I appreciate you showing up tonight. Again, we'll be sending out some more information, so be looking for that. And feel free to reach out via email to us if you have any questions. Just know all of us that are directors, we are closing out a 2,000 player soccer season. And so we are very busy this week as we close that out. And then we are going literally immediately into 1,000 kids in basketball and flag football next week. So, we're dealing with 3,000 people right now. So please reach out with anything you need. Just know when it takes us a little bit to respond, that's why. All right. Thank you all so much. And like I said, I'll stick around for a little bit if you need anything. Yeah, so the girls group, the girls it's all girls. So while our normal league, so like just let's just take for example the 8 to 9-year-olds, it's co-ed, so you could see girls and boys mixed. That's up to them. But we do have for the 8 to 10-year-olds, we didn't have any traction for the 11 to 13s. We tried it, we did not have the traction to run it. But the 8 to 10-year-olds, we do have some teams, so that is all girls. And then we're hoping that as we continue to offer this along with some of our all girls soccer, all girls volleyball, all girls basketball that's coming soon. We're hoping the more we offer that, the more that we get some opportunities to offer more all girls sports to all ages. Great question. Teams play all defense on or all offense in a game. Yeah, that's kind of up to you. Typically you're going to switch, so you're going to have players that play offense and defense, and you just kind of rotate through. Not many times do I see a team only play 5 on offense and only 5 on defense, the same 5 the entire game. A lot of times you're going to kind of rotate through. So they're not required, a certain for 5 to play. It's up to you. Any other questions? Great meeting y'all. Looking forward to the season. I'm sure I will see most everybody at some point at Jeep. But hope you all have a great season. Again, reach out to one of us if you need anything.